The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown, comprehensive summary. Core premise. The Da Vinci Code is a 2003 mystery thriller that blends art history, cryptography, religious history, and conspiracy. The plot follows Harvard symbologist Robert Langdon and French cryptologist Sophie Neveu as they unravel a 2,000-year-old secret protected by a clandestine society, a secret that, if revealed, could shake the foundations of Christianity. Opening: a murder at the Louvre. The novel begins late at night in Paris's Louvre Museum. Jacques Saunière, the museum's curator, is murdered by an albino monk named Silas. Before dying, Saunière arranges his body to mimic Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man and leaves a series of cryptic messages written in invisible ink, a Fibonacci sequence out of order, and a pentacle drawn on his stomach. Captain Bézu Fache of the French Judicial Police summons Robert Langdon, who is in Paris for a lecture, to the scene. Fache believes Langdon is the prime suspect because Saunière's final message reads, "P.S. Find Robert Langdon." Sophie Neveu, Saunière's estranged granddaughter and a cryptologist with the police, arrives and secretly warns Langdon he's in danger. She helps him escape the Louvre after deciphering that P.S. means Princess Sophie, Saunière's nickname for her, and that the message was meant for her, not an accusation. The first layer of codes. Sophie and Langdon discover Saunière left more clues: an anagram, O, draconian devil. O, lame saint, which unscrambles to Leonardo da Vinci. The Mona Lisa. On the back of the Mona Lisa, written in black light pen, is another anagram, so dark the con of man, a Madonna of the rocks. At that Da Vinci painting, they find a key with a fleur-de-lis and the initials PS, a key to the Depository Bank of Zurich. Meanwhile, Silas is acting on orders from an anonymous figure called the Teacher, who is orchestrating events for Opus Dei. Bishop Manuel Aringarosa, head of Opus Dei, believes he's funding the Teacher's mission to recover the Holy Grail to protect the Church. He doesn't know the Teacher is manipulating him. The Keystone and the Priory of Sion. At the bank, the key opens a box containing a cryptex, a Da Vinci-invented cylindrical container with rotating dials that must spell a password to open. Inside is a smaller cryptex, and both are believed to hold the location of the keystone, which leads to the Holy Grail. The cryptex has a vinegar vial that will destroy the papyrus inside if forced open. Fache issues an APB for Langdon and Sophie. They flee to Sir Lee Teabing, a British royal historian, Grail expert, and Langdon's friend. Teabing lives at Chateau Villette with his manservant, Remy. Teabing explains the real history behind the Grail to Sophie. Teabing's Grail theory: the Holy Grail is not a cup, but Mary Magdalene. He claims the Church suppressed the sacred feminine for power. According to apocryphal Gospels like Philip and Mary Magdalene, Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene, and she was his most trusted apostle. After the crucifixion, she fled to France with their child, Sarah. Her bloodline became the Merovingian dynasty. The Priory of Sion, a real historical society whose members allegedly included Da Vinci, Isaac Newton, and Victor Hugo, was founded to protect this secret. The term Sangreal was mistranslated as Sang-Greal, Holy Grail, but actually means Sang-Real, royal blood. Saunière was the Grand Master of the Priory. The night he died, he was supposed to pass the Grand Master position to one of 4 seneschals. Silas killed all for that night under the Teacher's orders. Escalation and betrayal. Opus Dei monk Silas, guided by the Teacher, attacks Chateau Villette to steal the keystone. They bind Teabing and escape with Langdon, Sophie, the cryptex, and Teabing to London via Teabing's private jet. Remy, Teabing's manservant, is revealed to be working for the Teacher. Later, the Teacher murders Remy to tie up loose ends. In London, the group goes to the Temple Church, which Teabing believes has Grail clues because of its links to the Knights Templar. They find nothing. The cryptex's riddle reads, "In London lies a knight a pope interred." his labors fruit a holy wrath incurred. You seek the orb that ought be on his tomb. It speaks of rosy flesh and seeded womb. Solving the cryptex. Langdon realizes it refers to Isaac Newton, knighted by the Pope, buried in Westminster Abbey, whose work on gravity drew church ire. Orb that ought be on his tomb refers to the apple, but Newton's tomb has no orb. Instead, they go to the chapter house where Newton's original tomb was. There, Teabing pulls a gun, revealing he is the teacher. Teabing's motive, as a Grail historian, is obsessed with revealing the truth. He believes the Priory failed its duty by deciding not to release the documents. So he engineered the murders of the Priory leaders to force the keystone to surface. He used Opus Dei's fear of scandal to manipulate Aringarosa and Silas. He never intended to destroy the Grail, only to release it to the world. Teabing demands Langdon open the cryptex. Langdon secretly figures out the password is apple for Newton and the rosy flesh and seeded womb line, referencing both the apple and Mary Magdalene as the womb that carried Jesus's bloodline. But Langdon throws the cryptex in the air. Teabing dives for it, and Farsh's police, who tracked them, arrest Teabing. The cryptex smashes, but Langdon had already removed the papyrus. The real secret and ending. The papyrus leads to Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland. There, Sophie learns her family didn't die in a car accident. Sonia staged it to protect her. She is the last living descendant of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. The Priory members guarding her reveal themselves. Sophie reunites with her grandmother and brother, who were also in hiding. Langdon realizes the Grail is not in Rosslyn. The final clue, the Holy Grail underneath ancient Rosslyn waits, uses Rose Line, the Paris meridian, which runs through the Louvre. Following his intuition to the Louvre's inverted pyramid, he understands Mary Magdalene's sarcophagus is buried under the Louvre's glass pyramid, at the intersection of the Rose Line. The small pyramid above and the huge inverted pyramid below form a chalice, or vessel, the ancient symbol for the feminine. The novel ends with Langdon kneeling at the site, leaving the secret intact. He and Sophie plan to meet again in Florence. Major themes. 1. Sacred feminine versus patriarchy. The book argues organized religion, especially the Catholic Church, demonized goddess worship and female spirituality to consolidate power. 2. History versus faith. Brown blurs fact and fiction, questioning whether history is written by winners. He uses real works like The Last Supper, claiming Da Vinci painted Mary Magdalene, not John, to Jesus's right, with a V-shaped void symbolizing the feminine. 3. Symbols and codes. From Fibonacci to anagrams to Da Vinci's art, the novel is built on the idea that history hides truth in plain sight. 4. Faith and doubt. Characters struggle with belief. Langdon is a skeptic who respects faith. Sophie moves from anger at her grandfather to acceptance. Aringarosa believes he's saving the church. Key characters. Robert Langdon, Harvard professor of symbology. Rational, claustrophobic, uses Mickey Mouse as a calming image. Sophie Neveu, a cryptologist. Disowned Sonia after witnessing him in a pagan sex ritual at 16, later revealed as Hieros Gamos, a Priory ceremony. Sir Lee Teabing, Grail scholar with crutches. The teacher. Believes the world deserves the truth. Silas, albino Opus Dei monk. Product of abuse, sees pain as holy. Kills on orders, believing he serves God. Bezu Farsh, police captain. Bull-like, devout, initially hostile but ultimately helps Langdon. Jacques Sonia, Louvre curator, Priory Grand Master, Sophie's grandfather. Dies to set the Grail quest in motion. Bishop Aringarosa, Opus Dei head. Manipulated by Teabing, but genuinely devout. Controversies and factual claims. Brown opens with a fact page stating the Priory of Sion is real and documents were discovered in 1975. Historians note the Priory documents were hoaxes created by Pierre Planted in the 1960s. The book also claims Constantine commissioned the Bible and suppressed 80 Gospels to make Jesus divine. Most scholars dispute this timeline. Opus Dei criticized its portrayal as murderous. In reality, it's a Catholic personal prelature with no monks. Structure and style. The book uses short chapters, cliffhanger, and alternating POVs to create a 24-hour thriller pace. It's a treasure hunt narrative, with each solved clue leading to a new location: Louvre, Bank, Chateau, Villette, Temple, Church, Westminster, Rosslyn. Brown infuses lectures on art and history through Langdon and Teabing, making exposition part of the puzzle. This summary covers the full arc while hitting the major codes, twists, and thematic arguments that define the novel. At 800 characters, it's designed to give you the depth of a chapter-by-chapter breakdown without reading 400-plus pages.